Chapter 6. Why is your whole lunch in here? Mom asked as she rummaged through my school bag. She narrowed her eyes at me, gripping the bag like it was evidence in a murder trial. Didn't you eat anything? Yeah, I had an ice cream over at the soda shop. I opened the fridge with my chin and shoulder, pulling on the special strap Daddy had installed. Opened the produce drawer with my foot and lifted out a small bag of carrots. I could feel Mom's frown on my back. You're going to have to eat in front of other kids at some point even. I know, I just wasn't hungry today. Are you embarrassed, honey? She asked. I could hear the sadness in her voice. It was my first day, Mom. I just felt nervous, so I didn't have any appetite. Well, I hope that was all it was, she said, because you have nothing to feel embarrassed about. I know that. I shut the fridge and turned around. You want to hear something weird? Always. Henry in the soda shop kept telling me I love tarantulas. Well, do you? She asked. I laughed. I don't know. Why would he tell me that? He's dementia, sweetheart. He doesn't think clearly anymore. Who knows what might have been going on in his mind when he said that. He just really seems to think I was someone who would like tarantulas, I guess. He also gave me vanilla today. Yuck. Mom sighed. I know. Dad and I don't have the heart to replace him, though. He's worked here for 60 years. How could we do that? No, that would be awful, I agreed. I can learn to like vanilla. Mom smiled at me. Oh, I almost forgot, she said. I have a surprise for you. I followed her down the short hallway to my room, carrying my bag of baby carrots between my chin and shoulder. The apartment held only 2 little bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a living area. A kitchen and a lot that was a lot smaller than our house in Kansas. Ta-da, she announced as we entered my tiny room. Wow, I said, sitting down in front of the new computer she had set up at my desk. Dad and I thought you could use a new one, and we found a keyboard with extra-large keys for preschoolers. Might be easier to use than our keyboard. I slipped my feet out of my flats and tapped on the toes of the keys. Yes, I think that this will work great. Thanks, Mom. I hit the power button with my toes and waited for it to start up. One more thing, Mom said. She told me to carry the address to type. You're on blog, she cried. I stared at the page. Cool. Dad set it up for you. We know you love to read Emily and Brittany's blogs, so we thought you should have one too. It might be a good way from letting them to keep up on everything that's going on in your life meanwhile you're here. What should I blog about? What do Emily and Brittany blog about? Brittany mostly blogs about fantasy books, and Emily is trying to be a restaurant critic. Mom smiled. Why don't you blog about soccer? That reminds me. Did you find out when tryouts are? Not until spring, unfortunately. I kind of hope they would have a soccer in the fall. That stinks, Mom said. Well, you and Dad will just have to keep practicing together until then. Dad had already set up the new goal in the road area, and we had gone out there together early one morning before the sun could cook us. Despite the ball getting all dusty while we played, it had been kind of fun. Yeah, I said. Yeah, we will. Dad had enrolled me in soccer when I was in 2nd grade. Prior to that, our attempts at several dad activities had mostly ended in failure. Or worse, disaster. The time he tried to teach me how to fish immediately comes to mind when I think of fishing hooks and toes and ears and everywhere else except a fish's mouth. Then there's the time he took me to be camping. The whole trip stunk. No showers, no soft mattresses, smelly campfire, no TV. I know you were thinking I was going to say it stunk for reasons that had to do with me not having arms. Nope, it stunk because I hate camping. When Dad decided he just had to teach me sport, or he would never have a sport sort of bonding activity with me, beyond watching old episodes of The Lone Ranger and eating chili together, soccer was the obvious choice. I had nightmares about trying out for other sports at school. Usually it involved people throwing various balls at me. Footballs, baseballs, basketballs, take your pick. And those balls hitting me in the head or face while everyone else in school watches. Not pretty. Soccer, though. Soccer was a sport I could manage. Mom let out a big sigh. Now I gotta get over to the stupid gold mine and talk to Bob, she says with a sneer. You know, he actually smacked a gold pan out of a 4-year-old's hand today because he kept pitching the quartz at instead of the gold. Dad had to give the whole family free ice cream and t-shirts. She threw her hands up in exasperation. He's pretty awful, I say. Any day now I expect he'll hit a toddler over the head with one of those pans, and you'll have to give the family a whole lot more than ice cream and t-shirts. Her eyes grew with the alarm, and the Madam Turtle had just foretold the actual future. I giggled as she stormed out of my room, having significantly worked herself up to lay into Bob, mumbling something about how he better get his butt in line or she'd be putting her foot in it. I was happy Mom was working with Dad at the park. She seemed to enjoy it, and it would give her something to do while I was at school during the day. I turned and stared at the screen. I typed my first blog post. School sucks, and it's hotter outside than a dishwasher's steam cycle, but much less steamy, and it doesn't smell like soap. At least my arms aren't hot, though. Haha, yeah, that's because I don't have any. I posted it and nodded at the screen with satisfaction. Then I sat on my bed and munched on carrots while I worked on my homework. My teachers had all been nice enough, but I didn't want to let them give me any special treatment. I could tell they all wanted to. The worst had been Mr. Jeffries, my art teacher, had asked the class if someone would pair up with me to help me get my paints ready. I could have felt more put on the spot than if he had asked me to tap dance while balancing the paints on my head. I told myself I didn't need help, and I had watched the entire class do it, try to pretend like they weren't watching. As I had collected my supplies and arranged them at my workspace, it took me at least twice as long as most people to do things like this, and yet I still managed to be the very first person in the classroom to have all my paints ready. I guess the other kids had been too busy observing. I tried not to let it get to me. I reminded myself throughout the day that curiosity was normal. I shouldn't let it bother me. I missed my friends back at home. No one ever treated me like this when I was in Kansas. Of course, I had to deal with usual stares when I'd go out to places, but never at school. I usually missed Emily. I wish we were sitting on the same bed together, working on our homework, listening to some terrible pop song Emily loved, giggling about something stupid. But it was just me. I sighed and I wrote out my math problem, nibbling, holding the pencil between my toes. I loved math. After all, it was just problem solving. From the time I was little, my parents had trained me to become an extreme problem solver, like problem-solving ninja. Even when it took me an hour to get the bathing suit on once when I was 8, they still hadn't done it for me, and I had never had trouble getting on my bathing suit again. They were determined I would grow up to be totally self-sufficient, problem-solving expert. I would only wish that I could solve the problem on how to make friends in a sea of kids who thought I was a freak.